Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bronze Age Minecraft, a series where we set out to recreate the Bronze Age settlements of ancient Greece. My name is Archaeologist, and I'm a professional archaeologist and certified interpretive guide. And man, what a cool time-lapse, huh? Look, if you really like that music, go into my description, follow the link, and give Sapphire some love, because that was some good stuff. For those of you eagle-eyed viewers out there, you might have noticed that I moved this a little bit. I moved it down and over, mostly so that I could have the walls line up with this hill a little bit better. I could have moved it over a couple more, but I think this is pretty good here, because I'm going to have to figure something out with this sort of edge of the wall, but I don't know. I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be all right. Because, you know, we got this doorway here to come through into the settlement, but yeah, anyways, I think that's going to be all right. So I was getting a whole bunch of supplies there during that little time lapse, and I got a whole bunch of them in here. Cobblestone for the walls, obviously diorite and calcite for the walls, but also we're going to do some mud bricks and some packed mud for some various stuff that's going to be going on here. And you're probably wondering what build we're going to be doing. Well, this is going to be the early Helladic II settlement of Lerna. Well, part of it, not the whole thing. Lerna was significantly bigger than what I got here, but what I'm going to focus on is this structure here, which is the House of Tiles, aptly named because it had a whole bunch of roof tiles. And this, well, I'll get into why this is important, but one thing I do want to point out is that at the settlement of Lerna, right across from the House of Tiles, there is this defensive wall. And during the sort of fluorescence of the House of Tiles in the so-called corridor house civilization, this wall was actually sort of falling apart. So, because of that, we're going to start with the defensive wall first, and we are going to build it up before we get to the House of Tiles. But with that being said, I'm also going to add in the foundation blocks so you could see sort of what you would see nowadays if you were to go to that site. So I'll add in the foundation blocks first, and then we'll get into the actual construction. I know, that was a little weird and sort of windy, rambly, but let's just get into it and you'll see what I'm talking about. Wait, is that it? Oh wow, okay, well that was much faster than I expected. Alright. Yeah. Now if you were to go to the settlement of Lerna today, something like this is kind of what you would see. You'd see a lot of other stuff there as well, but if you were just focusing on the early Helladic II structures, you'd see something kind of like this. The foundations of the walls are all going to be this sort of stone, this cobblestone, including the walls, though the walls here probably had larger stone, and I'm probably going to replace a lot of this with stone brick and just standard stone. But I just wanted to show you sort of what it sort of looks like nowadays. If I can find a picture, I'll put it up on the screen. But these walls here were pretty early on, and they were kind of falling apart by the time the corridor house was actually in use. So we're going to build this first, and we're going to build a smaller house, probably off in this direction here. Something that's a little more early Helladic 1 and 2-ish, sort of rectangular, with the stone footers and mud brick walls. So anyways, yeah, that's what we got going on so far. So Sun's going down. Let me go ahead and sleep, and then when I get back up, I will go ahead and rebuild this the rest of the way. I mentioned that the walls were falling down by the time of the House of Tiles, and we aren't really sure why. Prior to the construction of the House of Tiles, there was an earlier structure referred to as Building BG. Now, this structure, along with the walls, were constructed at the very beginning of the early Helladic II phase. Now, at some point, Building BG was demolished to make way for the House of Tiles, but the defensive walls weren't touched. Obviously, the inhabitants took the time to build these walls early on, so why let them just go to ruin? One possibility is that the need for the walls were no longer a factor, but as we will see later, that will prove to be a mistake. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Now, let me show you what I think I'm gonna do. This is pretty much what the wall would have kind of looked like. We don't really know how tall it would have been, but I'm just going with, what is this? 4 meters high? So, I've followed the wall, continuing with the angle, going this way into this hill. I think that looks pretty good. And then over on this side, I continued the angle into this hill. So what I think I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna just continue the wall, even though it, we don't really know where it went. For this sort of situation here, I'm just gonna continue it into this hillside and be done with it and continue it into that hillside. And that way it just sort of flows with everything. Unfortunately, this is all the packed mud I have left, only 43. And I've got a ton of mud bricks because I made way more mud bricks than I thought I was going to need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more packed mud off of this, replace it with more mud bricks, probably a lot in this section here. And then that way I've got some stuff to put over here. And over there. So anyways, let me go ahead and do that. All right, look at that. That looks pretty good. Yes, I know that there is a big giant gaping hole here, but that's okay. That's we're not going to worry about that. This is really what we're here for. Oh, look at that. I didn't even notice that. So yeah, so I basically just joined it up with the hills here. There's no, precedent in archaeology to suggest that that is how this was actually built. I just did that because it looked good. And speaking of looking good, that looks like garbage right here. So I think I might add some more dirt blocks here and maybe push this out just a little bit more so that this doesn't look so funky. But I might just do that off camera because I gotta sort of screw around with it. Okay, so now you're wondering probably what's next. Well, I gotta put a roof on this wall. you'll notice that the wall is actually, well, hollow, with these sort of rooms in here. It has been suggested that these are sort of like barracks, you know, for people that, well, not this one, this is the walkway. Oh, wait, what is, oh yeah, that's for the door. Not that one, these. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, so I'll probably end up putting, you know, some beds in here, some supplies in here. I've got some pithoi in one of those chests up there. And of course I'll put a roof on the top of this whole thing, and probably a stairwell at some point, a wooden stairwell probably that goes up to the top, which wasn't something that was actually there, but you know, we're just kind of doing the interpretation part of it now that we got the actual historical part up. But I also noticed that I'm running kind of low on these, the packed mud and the mud bricks. No, well, maybe not. Well, that might be enough. I do have some slabs that I can cheat with, so that right there is a half a stack, and this is 4 blocks, full blocks, if I just do the slabs. So that might be enough to make the little house off to the side here. Actually, the little house I'll probably put over here, because in front of the corridor house here is actually a special area, which I'll get into later. But yeah, I'll probably put the house probably right here, and it's going to be small. And the reason for that is because I want you to be able to see the difference, the size difference between your sort of standard residential unit and the corridor house here. So let me go ahead and put the walkway up on top. I think I'll just try with what I have here with the mud bricks and the slab for the house. As for the roof to the wall, I've got a whole bunch of these oak slabs, and I've got a bunch of oak logs that I can use, though those are going to be used for the corridor house, so I might grow some more oak. I don't know. So I'll leave you with the time lapse of putting the roof on. And until next time, see you then.